Morning everyone, let's power list. Remember, these teams have played almost no cricket on different pitches against varying sides, so this is going to be a wild ride. I was writing this while Afghanistan were playing England, so I had changes even to my final draft. And remember, the power list is not a points table. We're factoring in who played where, what the tosses were like against whom, and just how good we think these teams are. Plus, we now have to factor in what teams have the best chance of actually qualifying, but mostly we just guessed, because outside of the three teams at the top and the one at the bottom, this World Cup is turning into a beautiful mess. But I promise you, you'll never believe who I have at number 1.
This video is brought to you by Wicket Cricket Manager. Want more content? Well, our other channel, Jarrod Kimber podcast, has a live show called The Scoreboard at the end of each day during this World Cup. Watch me try to react to all this madness live and also answer your questions.
Well, you might believe it's India. They destroyed Australia, strolled past Afghanistan, and had no trouble with Pakistan. Life is good. They have the batter with the highest average in one-day cricket ever, and after 3 games, he's seen more medications than he has runs, and it hasn't mattered to them at all. Rohit, KL, and Virat all look in scary form. Their bowlers also look good. I mean, there are so many good signs that if I mentioned them all, we'd be here all day. But what is their biggest issue? Most fans would suggest it's Shardul Thakur, and he is basically playing as a non-batting part-time bowler at the moment. So there's 2 ways of looking at that. So you could actually argue they've been winning these games by only picking 10 players. They should beat Bangladesh pretty easily, but the New Zealand match is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to find out a lot more against India when they actually go up against another team also in form. New Zealand beat England with 5 players, strolled past the Netherlands and took Bangladesh's top order. I can't really split them in South Africa. I went with New Zealand just because I think they have the extra win, but honestly I have them ranked about the same. The first game was weird, the Dutch one didn't tell us all that much, and Bangladesh played a huge part in their own downfall. Either way, New Zealand are cruising. They brought in a player who was an opening bat, but wasn't supposed to play, and if he did, he was going to bat down the order, and then they made him bat first drop, and he started. We got strong Daryl Mitchell 2021 vibes from all this. New Zealand cricketers are flexible, and that really helps in World Cups. You could also add Santner's form, Lockie's pace, and Trent's knuckleball here. There's a lot to like. Not Kane Williamson's thumb. They managed to bring him back from what could have been a 15-month knee injury really early, and he gets hit. And the first proper game he plays, he gets hit in the hand by a rogue throw and is out. This may not even bother them at the moment, but clearly they're going to want him when it comes to the knockout time. New Zealand should be 4-0 going into that game against India. That will be a doozy. South Africa scored 1 million runs against Sri Lanka, and then they destroyed the Australians with the ball. I had them pretty much level with New Zealand. At one stage I had them 2, then I moved them down to 3, but I think they're both just 2.5. The one thing that held me back is I don't think South Africa played a complete game yet, so it is possible that they can get even better, or they're not quite as consistent as New Zealand. Their batting so far is doing exactly what it is designed to do. The one time Janssen came in a little bit earlier than they'd like, he was absolutely fine. Spin hasn't looked an issue for them either. Pretty much outside of Bavuma, everyone seems to be in form. There are no real issues for this team right now. So if you're a South African fan, this is an incredibly weird place to be in. Even the number 7 issue is working out. It's kind of spooky, right? It's like being in a horror movie when you don't actually know what the monster is. They have to play their T20 World Cup nemesis in the following game, but the big one is clearly against England. Pakistan stumbled briefly against the Dutch, chased a huge score against Sri Lanka, and then tripped over their own dicks against India. So they beat the 2 teams they were better than and lost to the other side. Where do we rate them? Like, are they better than Australia, who haven't played any weak teams yet? And what about England? I can't tell you that. But what I can say is Pakistan have 2 wins. But at this stage, banking 2 wins seems like a pretty good idea because there's a couple of other teams who wouldn't mind. Mohammad Rizwan has looked good consistently now. It's weird because it feels like he's been around forever. But actually, he's in his first World Cup, and yet he's so incredibly composed, knows his game well, and it feels like this is like his 3rd or 4th edition. Their bowling is just clearly not what it should be. Shaheen doesn't look great. He's not been horrible or anything, but he's a long way from the destroyer of worlds he used to be. But he might still come back in this tournament. Shadab Khan, on the other hand, looks like he might be unbowlable by the end of this tournament. Australia will be a very interesting game because obviously the Aussies are going to play it like it's a knockout, and Pakistan have to win it as well to stay above 500. They've already played 2 of the weaker sides, so after the Afghanistan game, it gets very tough for them. Their last 2 matches are New Zealand and England. At that stage, it might be a game where whoever wins it actually gets a semi-final spot.
Have you ever wondered how I watch so much cricket? I use VPNs to log into accounts from all around the world. But because before, even simple things like when something exciting would happen in a match, I would rush over to social media, and when I got there, the clips would say something along the lines of, "This video is not available in your area." In fact, most of the coolest cricket stuff in the world at the moment is geo-blocked because some random board didn't sign a deal where you happen to live. If you're a hardcore cricket nerd, the only way is to have a VPN, and we suggest Surfshark. They will give you the speed of your favorite quick bowler. They're as inventive as a T20 batter after a bunch of dot balls, and they're as secure as a specialist wicketkeeper with the softest hands in the world. And guess what? The kind folks at Surfshark are going to give you a deal. Enter the promo code Kimber for an extra 3 months free at surfshark.deals/Kimber. There are probably other things that Surfshark can help you with, like data and identity theft and traceability and intrusive advertising. But for us, it is our best weapon against the evil cricket geo-block. Go to Surfshark and type my name in KIMBER and get 3 months free today.
Australia couldn't face spin against India and couldn't face pace against South Africa, and they couldn't catch a cold in either game. And as bad as they have been, and they have been that bad, they're actually gone up against 2 of the 3 strongest sides. Give me a minute here. Oh, Glenn Maxwell is bowling better than their other bowlers. Wait, is that a good thing? I suppose we won't mention everything here, but the Travis Head injury has really hurt them because it has changed their order a little bit. But let's be honest, their whole vibe is sad at the moment. Their worst bowler is their captain, their top and middle order is struggling, and they can't play spin. They should beat Sri Lanka in their next game, although the way the Sri Lankan batters are going, who knows? The game after that is Pakistan, and then they actually have the Netherlands. So they could be 3-2 if they get their act together. Of course, they could also be 1-4. So if they end up back at 3-2, they're certainly in the hunt. England forgot to play against the Kiwis, did well against Bangladesh, and then they fell down a ditch against Afghanistan. In losing against one of the weaker teams and also one of the stronger teams, their way forward is way tougher than Australia. And I'm not sure they are worse, and at least they have a win. But let's be honest, they've really made this messy. And to be honest, had they won that game against Afghanistan, I still had questions. They're currently screams. They have won a game. Reece Topley has certainly helped. Like when they were being hammered by Afghanistan up front, he looks like the grown-up bowler out there. He also played a part in the Bangladesh win. The problem is that picking Topley means that Moeen Ali doesn't play, so they lose their dream batting lineup and they have to give their part-timers more of a bowl. They probably need to make another change to get Moeen Ali back in, but even then, Jofra is the player they probably need back, although perhaps it's already too late. The South African game is now their everything. They're going to be completely motivated for that. We can forgive them a banana peel game, although there was also the New Zealand game. But after the South African game, one way or another, we're going to understand roughly how good this team is. Sri Lanka got smashed by South Africa and then made a decent total that was easily chased by Pakistan. I honestly can't really tell you who's better out of them, Bangladesh and Afghanistan. But I just feel a little bit more confident with Sri Lanka at the moment. Their batting has more than stood up. Considering they have been on 2 great batting wickets, that does make sense. But the power has been really impressive, especially from Kusal Mendes. This was a weakness coming in, and it's been anything but that. Their bowling looked incredible coming into this tournament. It currently looks inedible. Injury has played a part, but their bowlers are really struggling on the batting-friendly wickets, and I hope this settles down a little bit when they start to play on other kinds of pitches. But their bowling lineup is young, and they are bowling like that. Imagine playing Australia now. Is that a good or a bad thing? Because I can't even work it out. Because even if you say Australia is terrible, they're also going to be desperate. I think it's very possible after the next couple of games, Sri Lanka end up at 1-3. But knowing this tournament, it could be that they beat Australia and lose to Afghanistan. Bangladesh looked great against Afghanistan, but lost their top order against England and New Zealand. It's hard to know if they are just this bad or it's just 2 slip-ups. Mushfiqur Rahim looks in beautiful form so far. Against New Zealand, he was playing on a different pitch to everyone else. He's giving them quality batting down the order. In fact, because of that, they might have to move him up because at the moment, he's trying to stop collapses from happening. If they moved him up the order, he wouldn't have to be a firefighter anymore. Tamim Iqbal not being here is clearly an issue with how their top order is playing. I thought coming in that they were just missing some rusted on experienced batters for a World Cup, and that is exactly how it has played out so far. This is a tough 2-game stretch for them, and they might end up being 1-4. If they weren't playing these 2 sides next, I might put them up, but I think any good feelings I have towards this team will be really tested, so I've kept them low. Afghanistan were really disappointing against Bangladesh. India destroyed them, and they only went and beat England. What a messy form line that is. But that is why they are a spoiler team. They can beat good teams, just not all the time. And I wrestled with having them as high as where Sri Lanka are. But they lost to Bangladesh. And I wasn't sure if I wanted Bangladesh ahead of Sri Lanka already. These three teams were really confusing. You could pretty much just throw a dart at the board, I think, at this stage. Ikram Ali Keel is back and making runs in World Cup. What if he only exists in major tournaments and the rest of the time they lock him up in a cupboard? I loved his knock against England. I loved his strike rotation and some quality strikes at the end as well. The Bangladesh game was disappointing because that is the level of team they want to be. And in that match, the men in green looked professional and in control, and Afghanistan were anything but. They have 2 tough matches coming up. But hey, so is England. What would be great is if they win one of these matches. It helps them, but also it would make this comp way more exciting. They don't have to qualify for the semi-finals to shape this tournament. Netherlands gave themselves hope against Pakistan and played okay at times against New Zealand. So far they've done very, very well, but their opening 3 games were really, really tough. I'm not sure I've seen anything though that means I should be moving them up above one of the other sides. Arian Dutt has more than stood up, and they have made the offie bowler in the power play and the death, and the young guy has just done his job so well. At times really bothering teams up front. Scott Edwards' captaincy has been a lot of fun as well, but it won't be complete until he bowls himself. Obviously, they'll be sad that they didn't get over the line against Pakistan, but maybe more so that Fred Klaassen is not here. Their quicks have been such a part of their success, and this squad is not as strong as Netherlands usually are with seam bowling. They have a tough one next, but on a pitch they will enjoy a little bit more. And then they have Sri Lanka at Lucknow. That one could be interesting. That was our power list. Feel free to tell us how we were right about every single bit, even the bits we don't agree with, in the comments below. In fact, comment, like, subscribe, press the bell icon. We will have at least one more power list before the end of this tournament. Hopefully, I won't be writing it when one of the biggest upsets in the World Cup is happening.